Soulection.
Yeah, here we are. My name is Joe K. This is Soulection Radio here on Beats One Worldwide. One of the first shows of the new year, and how else to start it better than with my man Omarion. When I think of an artist who's been in the game for a minute, I don't even got to give this man's like resume, but when you think about someone who has longevity, I think Omarion, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm excellent. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Now, the first time that I figured out that you were somewhat aware of Soulection or just kind of like people from the crew is when Sango told me.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew that that was like a great connection off top. And we actually you and I grew up around the same region. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in Hacienda Heights as a child, and I know you guys were in Diamond Bar, Walnut.
Yeah, we used to have a crib back in Diamond Bar.
Yeah, man. But yo, Happy New Year.
Same to you,
2016,
bro.
man. How are you, brother?
Man, 2016. Well, I got to spend some cool amount of time with my family this go round. Usually at the end of the year, I'm working or doing some type of party. But I decided to chill with my family this time. We rented out a spot in Malibu, and we were like right off the ocean. So
Sick.
you know what I mean. Every time we wake up, that's what we was waking up to. It was all just peace and positivity, man.
That's love.
It was super. It was wonderful, man.
Yeah, and we'll get into that later. But the fatherhood thing, congrats. I know you have another one on the way.
Yeah.
Your second child, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the timing of everything, right?
Man, that's what's so amazing as far as joy, is concerned. I never really experienced it on the level, that I'm experiencing it now because, I have my son and I have a little girl on the way, and
best of both worlds.
Oh man, and the amount of like just love and care and patience and like, I mean, having a kid is really just awesome.
Yo, I already know, man.
It's just
like,
awesome, man.
Our children are inspiring the music nowadays. I was reading an article, and I know that and congrats on all the success. Post to Be, and
Thank you.
I know that's one of like the biggest records of like of your career, and just again going back to the longevity concept and how like that dropped on the album like in 2014, and it was still playing, and it actually kind of came up in 2015 heavier than ever. That's crazy. It's crazy, kind of like sometimes it takes a while, but I guess it's all about patience, man, and persistence with it.
Period.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, and I know you just you came back from tour, and you've been moving, man.
Man, it's a blessing at this stage of my career.
Yeah,
to still be finding new things, like Soulection.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like, this is definitely has opened my ears as far as like people consider me, because I've been doing it for so long. Always commercially. You know what I mean? But this is like, I stumbled upon this, and when I stumbled upon it, it was a gem, man. It's like, no format. It's just all just good music.
Let me ask you, how did you stumble? I'm always interested, especially someone in your position, like you said, that has so many ears and eyes on you that like you could literally change people's life in a second. You could post something and put and create a whole career. How did you find out about Soulection?
Well, my brother, shout out to Papa Sonny. He has an eclectic ear, and he's always listening to new things. And when I'm like kind of tired of what I'm listening to at that moment, I always go and be like, "Yo, what's up?" You know what I mean? And he always giving me waves, man. And we was actually overseas. When he started playing the 3-hour mix, I'm like, "Yo, how long is this, bro?" And he's like, "It's 3 hours," and I mean, we like falling asleep, waking up to it, and it's like then ciphering to it because it's beats. It's like infinite, just space, and it's so dope, man.
Shout out to my man Eduardo in the back. We tripping out right now because we always talk about the concept of how you just kind of never know who's watching, right? And what started off in college, and it's a trip to just do something genuinely. And I know you could speak on that on your behalf, but to do something and know that I would have never have known that you would, that you were listening. And then crazy enough that a couple months ago I approached you at the homie Juice's birthday party, and do you remember that conversation? I was just like, yo, I was like, the way I started that conversation with you is like, I appreciate, because I've seen publicly that that what's the word? You've embraced other artists, and that's something that you don't really see.
Right.
And most artists try to flex, and it's like, yo, it's all about me,
Right.
and they know somebody's type. But I had brought up Bryson, and I know that you're a big inspiration to him, as much as Soulection as well. And I was like, yo, that's so ill how you embrace other artists. And then we just hit it off.
Right.
And then you told me that you knew about Soulection. And it's just crazy the way timing and everything works. Earlier, you and I were chopping up as well. And something that I've been wanting to do on the show, especially with people that have inspired the Soulection sound, is kind of get into some classics from yourself.
Word.
That, I'm curious, and I want the people, and I know there's others listening that are curious on when certain tracks were made in your discography and your catalog, what you were feeling and what you were thinking. I'm about to play a quick instrumental real quick.
Let's go.
And let me know, like, what you were feeling, man, because these guys right here, on the production are huge inspirations. Let's get into it right now.
Right. Classic. I'm gonna just let that sink in a little bit. Lay back. Hey. But let me tell you what I'm thinking. Listen. Hey. Yeah, that's amazing, bro.
Woo.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yo, when I hear that, I mean, that's that classic. I mean, shout out to Pharrell as well.
No
Other
doubt,
Tone.
no doubt.
That the Neptunes, man. Like, what? How was that record, man? Let's talk about that, bro. Let's talk about it.
Well, first of all, let me tell you that Pharrell has been, like a mentor from afar to me and for me. A lot of people get to see his influence on The Voice because, when he gives compliments to artists and, there's always positive and it's very inspirational. So I actually got with Pharrell through an old A&R of mine. His name is KP.
Okay.
And at that time, I believe I was on Sony. And we were constructing the album 21. And this was kind of like my maturation from and through, what I've done in the past up until, that point. It was like 21. It's such a like important time and age.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So I felt like I wanted to do like what would be considered a new up-tempo because of the BPM on it. Like when it originally came out, it was like way slower. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It kind of sped up over time, because I wanted to create the imagery of the sound. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be visual sound. So it was funny when we recorded that record. I believe we was in Miami, and this was a real interesting time in Pharrell's life too. Because this is when he was up. I mean,
I think that's when like Snoop's for Beautiful came out. Like he would killing it.
Oh my God! I mean, like when I would pull up to the studio, bro, he would have his Bentley in the front, all white. I just always remember Pharrell having such great taste. He actually introduced me to Nobu.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, so I was like probably the only young kid going to eat sushi, you know what I mean, like that, back in the day.
That's great. In Miami too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how I was introduced to me. And Nigo was with him as well, and we was recording. And
that was an OG Bape culture as well. Not people are still on Bape, but like that was the prime.
That was when the stores was being put up in Japan, and he was sending everybody packs. Everybody had the shoes on, the ice cream shoes. Like it was a little bit after that, but it still
that
was
was
during
the time, though.
So we recorded that. It was like a part of maybe like a week of a couple of days of recording, and then we did the video, and that's what I'm really probably connected to more. The whole process, you know what I'm saying? Like record with him, being with him, his energy.
When you guys were recording, were you already thinking about the choreography? I mean, because that's another side of you.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing. There's a lot of talented singers out there, but a lot of them can just. And you're either blessed with it or you're not. And you were blessed with the gift to move, like you could literally get around the whole show just by moving. You and Chris Brown could do that. But I think it's ill. Like, were you already like coming up with the choreography as you heard the beat and everything and the video, the visual of it?
Well, every time I heard Pharrell music, I was trying to understand why I was like so mesmerized by his chords, because they were really like obscure but they had flavor, and it was like a lot of emotions, you know what I'm saying? So after working with him in that process, like I think then I started to understand what it was, because he had worked with so many other people, before me, and I was like, well, what is he gonna give me?
Yeah.
And as an artist, you always like to listen to a producer because it's what they think. That's how they think that you're gonna sound to them. You know what I'm saying? If you guys can understand that.
Totally
But,
understand. Nah.
But that's what was happening, bro. Like I was working with him, and then I started to understand what it that he did. Why he was great.
Yeah.
And then he inspired me, and then the dancing came after though.
Timbaland, man. You know, Icebox, another powerful record.
Yeah.
And again, for those, I feel for those listening are definitely on your end are definitely aware of who you are as an artist, but there may be some people who just found you through Poster B or through,
right.
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
True.
It's
true.
real.
It's
like
real.
we got you got new listeners every day.
No
and
doubt.
Those were two like crazy records, and
Thank
you know what I
you.
mean? And what was that process as well, man?
Well, that was an interesting process, especially because during that time I was like in transition of as far as like who I wanted to be with, who I wanted to grow with, what my next phase was going to be. And I previously had guidance than before, but this was like my real coming of age. So I was like, courting Timberland at that time. This was like right before 21 was done. This was like the end of that album. And it's interesting because, the best songs always come with like when you're right, supposed to be done at deadline. So I got this beat, and I actually at this time there was a what is that writing crew called? I figured it was a writing crew, but it was Kerry Hilson and like two other guys.
Wow.
Yeah. So is his name JQ? The what? The Clutch. That's what they were called. The Clutch. So me and JQ, we actually had worked together before, and I know I wanted to like I heard that beat and I was like, oh, I'll vibe this. Let's vibe with this right here. And then JQ started doing some melodies, and I was like saying words, and we kind of just was like, oh, this is cool. Let's play with this. And I said something about an icebox. Then he threw it in the mix, and then it was just like it became what it was, which was like really the true expression to me of how a man feels when he experienced heartbreak. It was like, what a cool way to say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that metaphor.
That metaphor.
Yeah,
like I got an icebox,
Yeah.
And yeah, man, that's how that song came about, man. A really important record in my career, for real.
Yeah, for sure. And Timbaland just being a legend, working with people from Genuine and Missy.
I mean, he's a
Aaliyah.
legend.
Yeah.
Him and P, they from VA.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it just says like, yo, for you to come out, we're gonna actually get into it after this next joint, but just the concept of you breaking away from trying, coming off of B2K and trying to make your own solo career, and like you said, being a young man and trying to figure out your place, because that's like a stigma and hard thing to come from a young teenager and be like, yo, I'm a man now. I'm talking about grown things.
You feel me?
And yeah, I saw that from afar. I remember 106 in Park,
Yeah.
Shout out BET and just like and like that was that memories, bro.
Yo, that era was crazy, man.
Too crazy. There'll never be another era like that again.
It's true. It was a cool time. It was an interesting time.
Yeah. Interesting time?
Man, it was, man. Cause it's like it's really hard to like gauge what's going on when you're like going through it. You know what I mean? And at that point in time, man, I was a young man, and I was really just like thirsty to create, man. And it's just so interesting because I don't ever really listen to those songs anymore.
Yeah, it must be a trip, right? But yo, you've made some timeless music. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Listening to that record, what are we doing off of 21? I mean, not only are you showing your vulnerability, but how transparent you are, bro.
Right.
And I think that's something that even to this day, it's not consistent in music. Just too many people flexing about how many people they can get, their status, but or they're not going deep enough with the storyline of the relationship or the situation, and that was like something that's transparent, and it's ill, man.
Thank you, man.
Keeping it real. Before we got in back to the music, we were talking about just like the transition of you becoming a solo artist and breaking away from everything, from the history that you had. Was that a difficult stage to do? Like, you know, for those that might be, you know, there was Bow Wow, there's Justin Bieber, and there's various other artists. You know, even if you think about MJ, like how tough it was for him to have to break away from the Jackson 5 and be like, like you guys are family. However, I got to do my own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you speak about that part?
Well, that was, I mean, obviously, you know, when I was going through it, I was really focused on getting out of it. But when I look back on it, it was probably the most important thing that could have happened to me. You know, I tell people all the time, you really got to trust your struggles. You know, you really got to, like, you know, make sure you're paying attention to what's going on, because, you know, when it doesn't feel good and when you're, like, most uncomfortable is when you're getting your most gains. You know, that's like when it don't feel good, that's when you're growing, you know. And that time was so interesting because, you know, even when I think back and people, like, always come up to me and like, yo, I remember you from such and such, or do you remember? And I don't remember it, you know what I mean? And I think that I don't recall it because I wasn't really there, you know what I mean? And it's like kind of whack, you know, when you look back on it and you feel like, you know, people have kind of stolen the joy away from the creative part of what it is that you do.
But why do you feel that you weren't there? What does that mean?
Well, probably because, you know, things were moving so fast, and, you know, I don't think that I was, like, truly focusing, you know, like, on the important layer of what, you know, I consider success. You know, I don't just consider success, you know, having nice things, you know, and that's just my POV. Yeah. You know, that's how I view it. You know, it's cool to have things, you know, if you never had things, but when you have things, it's like, well, you go back to wanting to have the important things. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, also you can't forget about that. You were a teenager trying to, you know, but I think people forget about that. Like, think about let's break it down to different examples. Like, you think about, let's say an NBA player going up to the game and, like, you turn on the TV, you show up and, like, all you see is them shooting around, play ball, but you don't think about, you know, they got to go to the lock, they got to do the post game interviews. If they lost, whether they won, they got to jump on the plane. Right, they got to, like, by the time they land, you know, all that stuff, and it's like your travel schedule going back to you, you know, as a young person.
What about the groupies?
Yeah, the groupies, the pandemonium.
What about the groupies? Like,
that's real.
You can't forget about the groupies.
You got to think about you trying to figure. You know, you're still going through, you know, changing as a man.
I'm just
all
saying,
that. It's real. So many factors.
I mean, lawyers, you know, a cup goes in the audience, now somebody's trying to sue you.
Wow.
You, like, you feel me? Water, somebody slipping. It's crazy.
Have you peeped that Amy Winehouse documentary?
No, but my girl is, like, been telling me I should watch it. Right, she was like, yo.
There's this part where, I'm not sure, someone from her camp, you know, was speaking in, you know, retrospect, and they said something that really stuck to me that I've been kind of spreading the word, and it's very true. As an artist or someone that's super successful, nobody can prepare you for that level of success. You cannot you could take, like, you know, acting classes and stuff, but psychologically, some people are stronger or more vulnerable or weaker. Yeah. And when you're getting that level of attention and pressure, it makes people act in different ways. So the fact that you're still here is a stamp and a statement, you know?
We survived the storm, baby. I got a lot of jackets on and I ain't getting wet. You did.
What, in your opinion, is the current state of R&B?
It's funny. We just I just had an interesting conversation about that, and I think that and this is just in my professional opinion, I think that people focus on labels too much. Yeah. You know what I mean? When we're talking about R&B, when we're talking about, you know, rhythm and blues, not rhyme and beats, rhythm and blues, we're talking about emotion. I think that it's stronger than ever. You know, I think that it is masked and it's transformed into something different that people aren't used to. But honestly, like, if you have emotion in your music, people are going to connect to you. Yeah. And that's what I would consider, you know, rhythm and blues. I don't think that there's, you know, not a current state. I think that R&B has just transformed. And it's not called that anymore. Yeah. It's called something else.
It's like good music. Well, also, if you think about the biggest records out, not even just in R&B, but it's mostly it's singers. Yeah, man. It's not even about rappers or you know, indie or rock. It's about it's about the singers are the one that's reaching the people at home all across the world. So I think that's a statement, you know, and the writers, you know.
Yeah, I think also, you know, that like, you know, we're being, I think that the world is getting back into a place where, you know, they would like to receive some messages.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In an inadvertently way. You know what I mean? Like just what they can take from it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm really excited, you know, because I get to really like bubble inside of that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
Like people are really like, they trying to come with it.
They're trying to come with it.
They're trying to come with it. So it's like, you know.
Does that inspire you to go back home and just like, are you always like in the car, are you always coming up with melodies and just like hooks and stuff in your head at all times? I mean, even when you got in the studio, you were ready. You're like, yo, what is this? And I could already see your writing mind already. Like the hamster was like cycling in there.
Yeah, man. When you really connected to something, when you really love it, you know what I mean, and you connected, like it's hard to disconnect.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then, you know, when you look at the game and it's so ever changing, it's like, oh, now people like this kind of sound. Like it's just really, you know, I'm really interested to see like where I'm at 50. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because the progression level is live and it's living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's people like in their living rooms at home making hits.
Yeah.
Like that's a different level.
Yeah.
They don't even have to go through the chain of, you know what I mean? Like they can put it up on YouTube and they got that
crazy.
power. So it really is, to me, it's growing back to skill.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how good are you? You know what I mean? And I'm with that. Well, I'm all about the skill.
With records like Post to Be and just how your career has shifted and, you know, you're still with MMG, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and have you felt like sometimes the motive to write a hit record versus just you being true to yourself? Do you think there's blurred lines in between sometimes, like your motive, you know, you see other people, you know, is there even artist envy? Do you ever sense that? Or is it just like, yo, you're not worried about a hit, whatever comes from your creation is what comes? What's like your take on that?
I think that as an artist, I think like all of those questions go through your mind.
Yeah.
You know, but for me in particular, like it's really been about what feels right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've never really took that approach because, you know, I came up in a time where format was really important. Like, all right, look, you get a budget, now it's time for you to do your video. But now it's people doing, you know, their videos for nothing and they're putting it out same day with the concept and everything. You know, so it's like as an artist being able to kind of take that power back, you know, and as far as like creatively goes, like that's my take on it. Like it's getting back to its creativity.
Yeah, let's get right back to the music. This is one of my like favorite like hooks and melodies you came up with.
Oh, that's The Wave. That's a special song right there.
That's very special. Talk about that story.
Man, the reason why that's such a special song because, you know, working with 40, just that little like millisecond that I did, it was really cool to see all of the work that they did after that to come to fruition and just be introduced to the way that he hears music. And it was crazy, man, because, you know, this was during the time, like, you know, I was definitely looking for, like I told you earlier, a place to grow, you know, like a home, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, I was taking these meetings with Wayne, and when I was meeting with Wayne, you know, he would be in town, I'll come to the hotel, or like, you know, he'll be in his bus, he'll be recording. That's always was his wave. And right after we signed the deal to be a part of Young Money, I believe I like just went to Miami and just chilled for like a couple of days and worked. And when I first met Drake, he was like, I remember Wayne saying something like, yeah, this is Drake. Everybody loves his music here, so don't even worry about trying to be the best. He said something like funny, but
yeah,
I believe it was like BT Weekend or something like that, and we were all at the Beverly Wilshire, and we were downstairs, and 40 was like, yo, oh, do you like, you should come and get on this mixtape. You know, we're about to drop this mixtape, So Far Gone. And I'm not even really like up on, you know, the whole internet wave. I didn't even really know who Drake was like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just was introduced to Wayne, but everybody kept talking about his music. So we went upstairs. They had their laptop, a mic, and a boom, bro. And it was like, you know, I put down a couple of different melodies. Then I was like, well, let me catch some air. I went downstairs, and then 40 came back down, and he was like, yo, so I picked this melody like the best one that I like, you know, think that it's good. And he chose that melody.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it was really dope because yeah, I got to like step away from this music and then come back, and then like it sounded new to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, this is a wave. So it was real cool to like work with them, you know, during that phase. Like that was so cool, like of his career.
As you're telling this whole story, it kind of puts things in perspective, especially from the Soulection world. There's producers and there's beat makers and engineers, you know what I'm saying? Right. And the way you put it in perspective is 40 is everything in one. You know, he's not just making the beats, but he's orchestrating, he's arranging. And there's a big difference from someone who makes a beat and knows how to plug, fill pockets, and take melodies. And his ear was able to choose the best melody. And because that song is insane. The sample, the things you're saying, even like the filter in terms of like the reverb and like the filter, it's just crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
For like for real, I have a lot of respect for his ear.
That's dope, man. And you still connect with Drake and all them to this day?
Yeah. You know, it's always cool. Anytime I see them, it's always love.
Yeah. And going from the transition, going from, you know, Young Money and going into MMG, like how has everything been in your career? Like just where you're at now, you're in a happy place.
Right.
You have the album coming out. Is there an album coming out 2016?
Of course.
Okay.
I got the new album coming out. It's titled Reasons. And being a part of Maybach Music has really just been like a great experience. You know what I mean? I've never really sat at the table with men and like collectively everybody brought something to the table. You know, it felt like Maybach Music is like a real brotherhood. You know what I mean? And like, you know, with Rose sitting at the forefront, you know, I never seen him hate. I never seen him hate on nobody.
That's important.
Like, that's crazy to me because everybody, most, you know, people in the music business, they got something to hate on. They gonna hate on one thing. You feel me? But I never seen him like, man, countless amount of conversations, especially, you know, being an artist, you know, you're really in touch with your emotions, you know, so if something rub you wrong, you like, I gotta say something. You feel me? And it's been several times where I've said certain things to him and he'd be like, man, get your money. Oh, just keep waving up, you know, stay focused. And, you know, not even just as a businessman, but like just as a man, I really respect him.
You picked up a lot.
Man, I respect him. That's exactly what I was looking for. I was just looking for a place for somebody to allow me to just wave up on my own.
And be you.
Yeah, so
well, I think that's what's ill at least from my perspective, watching you make the decision to sign to MMG is, you know, we didn't really know which you could have gone to. You could have just went to another major and be, you know, just Omarion or created your own thing. Right. But it's tight, and I think it's for you to break into that scene and culture that's actually primarily full of rappers. Right. You know what I mean? But you need. I mean, I feel like that was a smart move because, you know, every team needs a vocalist, needs a singer. And you know, you've been like the face. But let's go right back to the album. So what's the sound direction and what are you feeling?
Well, as far as the sonics, man, it's all new, everything. You know, I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but it's very what's the word I want to use? It's very
the reflection of your life, you know. Is it different now because you have your kids? So are you speaking more like I don't know, like what's the you know?
It's very close.
Very close.
It's very new. It's a new me. It's like when you hear it, you know, you're definitely gonna, you know, see some maturity levels. Going up. Yeah.
And producer, who's your go-to producer, like internally, or who's your 40 essentially?
Well, truthfully, I don't have one just yet. I really
all right, Soulection it is. All right, you heard it first here on Beats.
I don't have one, but I definitely would like to have one.
Okay.
But
we're gonna talk after.
Okay.
I got a whole team ready to go with the most fire beats.
Yeah, I need that. But as far as Reasons, this album, it's an ill collective, man. It's an ill collective, and when you hear the sounds, and you know some of the producers. One of the producers who I actually stumbled upon, you know, Anderson .Paak.
Of course.
You know,
we just had him on this. Yo, that's crew right there.
Yeah, so that's family. You know what I'm saying? So he introduced me to one of the producers, Knowledge.
Knowledge, of course.
Yeah, that I worked with. So I think that it's.
Oh, you're on. Okay, I
no,
like that vibe.
Oh yeah, it's a different marriage
It's
of
sonically
sound.
soulful.
Oh man, yeah. And then
okay, that puts things in perspective. That's all you gotta say, really.
yeah, and it's another cat too. I think he changed his name from Low Def, right? It's something else. No, it's Connor. It's Connor something. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
another young cat.
Yep, another young cat. And man, I just want when people
hear
it.
Sounds like soulful music then.
Man, I just want when people to hear it to just, just listen. Just listen. Can we get it? Can we get into one?
Yeah, what's the record?
Can we get into
let's try to find
Game Over?
Game Over. Yeah, let me try to cue that up right now. Game Over.
Yeah, featuring BJ, the Chicago Kid.
And that's the one that just. You said this is out right now, right?
Yeah, I just dropped
it.
If I just dropped this, but I want the Soulection ears to hear this.
Oh, you dig? Let's go.
I want them to feel this.
And shout out BJ the Chicago
Kid. Yeah, shout out BJ.
Amazing vocalist as well.
Right up.
That's a strong record, man. I have actually yet to hear that, but it has a good feel from the production to just it's just something you ride to, you know. Let me ask you, are you more about write when it comes to writing your music? Are you like, yo, I gotta write everything, or are you more in a collaborative process when you write your records?
Well, as far as how I'm creating now, it is a collective effort. You know what I'm saying? There are certain things that I'm like a little bit more tied to intimately.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That I spend my time like writing on. But as far as this project, this has been such a cool, collective wave. And it's always been like that for me, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like my introduction to the gang was through a collective.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And
so you guys had to feed off each other.
Yeah, man, and that is so important. Just because it gives you another POV, of a conversation. It's like really I'm having a conversation, but it's 3 conversations going on.
Of course,
and that's just high level. You know?
So. I don't know if you ever talked to Timbo or Genuine, but we were chopping it up about how back in the day, him, Devontae, Static Major, Missy, and Aaliyah, they used to be in circles, right? And they used to have battles. So, not like a rap battle, but they would just drop lines like,
who could come up with the best
verse. Yeah. And that's ill. See, I never, until he broke that down, I was like, yo, that's the best. And it challenged people. And he was talking about how real they kept it with each other. Like if something was whack, they'd be like, yo, that's whack. And whoever had the best bars and the best lines were the joints that made it onto the records. And I think that's ill because you put another mind to it, and sometimes you might be overthinking it or whatever, and that makes sense. So some people are like, oh, you don't write your own music. No. I think as long as you get to the end point, and as long as you did have some creative process through it, like it's all good. It's all about the delivery and the collaborative process, So that's ill. Usually when you have a album, I'm curious, like how many tracks do you usually cut before you're getting to the point of finalizing an album?
Probably close to 50.
50?
Yeah, definitely a strong 40.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, a strong
is
40.
That tough? Like, because you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen, and right. You got to have obviously people who, music snobs and people you trust to pick those final tracks for the album. But does it ever get overwhelmed? Like you're listening to the same songs over and over? Like I'm curious from an artist like you, how is that?
Yeah, man, I listen to my music all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. A lot, just because, I want to become so familiar with it. You know what I mean? It's just inside of me. Every word, it all has to feel right. I listen to my music a lot.
Yeah, that's ill. Yeah, and on the last note, when people think of the artist and the name Omarion, what do you want people to go home with and take, as a message from you? And just what do you want people to walk away, with your legacy and stuff?
Probably just a creator, Omarion, the creator. If it was visual sound, if it was movement, if it was, producing, if it was writing, just whatever I truly decided to focus on, I really got good at. And I was really playing at a high level. That's what I want people to take away. Just man, he's just dope. He's just skill. His skill is just
he's just timeless. Yo.
yeah, timeless.
Timeless.
Yeah.
That's
timeless.
That's a wave.
kindness.
You know what I'm saying? Well, yo, brother, it's been a great I felt like we were just going through euphoria and just reflecting on like moments in life of your life. And thank you for coming here on Soulection Radio here on Beats One, and to many more, man. It's just the beginning. I look forward to building with you, and let's put out some amazing music.
Let's do that. Thank you. Shout out to all the Soulection listeners around in 100 countries.
100 plus countries.
You see, I listen.
And going. That's too good. But yo, brother, happy 2016. And once again, this is just the beginning. I hope you guys learned something. And stay doing what you love. We are out. Peace.